Hi guys, this is Two Men in a Movie, and we're reviewing Resident Evil, the final chapter. So, for all that you don't know, this was supposed to be the final chapter of Resident Evil. It said so in the title and in the trailer. And this is a spoiler video. If you do not like spoilers, then don't watch this video. Just get out of here right now. I'm going to tell you this again. Jeff?
Yeah, don't watch this video.
Don't watch this video if you don't want spoilers.
Because we have to talk about spoilers.
This is, it is, you can't talk about this movie unless, so we're just going to get right to it, guys. Okay. Earlier, before we saw the movie, we sat down and talked about what we thought would happen, what we rated the movie, and here it is. Okay, so we're about to go watch Resident Evil, the final chapter. Jeff, what are you expecting out of this blockbuster movie?
Not a whole lot.
Why do you say that?
Because I barely remember the last two.
Okay, so in the last one, I believe it was Resident Evil Afterlife. Retribution. It was Retribution.
Retribution?
For all of you that don't know, it's Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Resident Evil Afterlife, Resident Evil Retribution, and then Resident Evil the Final Chapter.
Hopefully.
To me, Apocalypse sounds pretty last ending.
Yeah.
Extinction sounds pretty last ending.
Yeah.
Afterlife, Retribution.
Right.
Now remember in Afterlife, they were in that prison.
Right.
Alice lands on the prison. They fight, and then Umbrella steals Jill and all the other people.
Yeah, I remember that. Because it happens in one of the video games, so they used it in the movies.
Right. And then in Retribution, it ends with, because, they rescue Jill, and they're in the underground, under the Soviet bunker thing.
Okay, yeah. I remember vague instances of scenes, but that's about it.
Right, so you have those, and at the end of that, it ends with them confronting Albert Wesker in the Oval Office.
Right.
And then having that big swarm of...
That's really the only thing I remember is the very end where you see all the monsters attacking the White House. That's all I remember from that movie.
And they actually teamed up with Wesker at the end, if you remember that.
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they teamed up with Wesker, so it'll be interesting to see how they resolve that. So this is supposed to be the final chapter where apparently the Red Queen sends a message to Alice, and she says, you have 48 hours to get back to the underground bunker in Raccoon City. Okay.
I've only seen one trailer, so...
Right. So do you think it's... rated 1 through 10, what do you think it's going to be after you get out of the theater?
2?
2?
Yeah, I'm going to say 2.
I'm going to say at least 5 or 6. And I say that because this is the last one, maybe.
Just depends, because it just seems like Mila Jovovich and Paul W.S. Anderson, husband and wife team, I know they are.
Right.
But they only worked together, it seems like, recently. So maybe the only way we're going to see more films is if they do them.
Maybe there's going to be a reboot.
That could be.
Maybe it's the last chapter. Or maybe at the end credits, she wakes up with that eye thing again.
If there is a cliffhanger ending to this film, I will be extremely mad. I'm just going to say...
Because they lie to you. It says the last chapter.
Yeah, it's the last chapter. I will be extremely mad because they've all done that. And I've always known that they're going to do another one. I'm at the point now... I was at the point after Extinction that they should stop them because I hated Extinction. But,
yeah, I think Extinction was the worst one of all of them so far.
When your virus can drain lakes and destroy all plant life at the beginning of your film.
Yeah, you don't even see it happening.
No, and it's like this happened, which makes no rational... I know we're talking about zombies and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, there's no rational explanation to it at all. It just kind of happened.
So what kind of surprises do you think we'll see in this? Do you think there will be different creatures? Do you think there's going to be...
They'll probably put some, Resident Evil 6 creatures type,
Yeah.
In there probably. It'd be kind of funny if we, for some reason, saw the couple or the family that's in the new game
in Resident Evil 7?
in the movie.
Well, she does travel from Washington, D.C. to wherever Raccoon City is.
If I see them in there, I think that would be kind of fun. But
yeah, it might be a little bit fun.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be funny if it did.
Cool. Well, yeah.
So I give it a 2.
2?
Yeah, before going in.
I'm going to give it 5. I'll be optimistic.
Yeah, I have no optimism.
I was optimistic with Ghostbusters, and I thought that was a decent film, so... But I gave that about a 6 or a 7, so...
I'd give it about a 5.
Okay, so you saw Jeff gave it a 2.
Yep.
And I gave it a 5. And I thought that was reasonable. Unfortunately, my expectations were shattered as soon as we walked into the film. I mean,
and my low expectations were also shattered.
yeah. Jeff, now that you've seen the movie, what do you give it?
1.
I have to concur.
Yeah.
It's a 1.
It's a 1.
And we will tell you why. Paul Anderson, by the way, I'd like my $6 back that I paid to see this movie, because I kind of knew going in that it was going to be kind of terrible.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit more expectations, because the number 4 and 5 were decent.
I don't remember them.
Okay.
I stated that before. I don't remember hardly anything other than the fact that the monsters were attacking the White House at the end of the last one. That's what I remember.
I really liked the first one. I thought it was a great loose adaptation of the video game. I mean, it had zombies, it had liquors, and it had Raccoon City, which you didn't see too much of.
No.
But you saw it in the second one. Raccoon City, or Resident Evil Apocalypse, had Jill Valentine. It had stars. It had
Nemesis.
Nemesis was really well done, Anderson.
Yeah.
Kudos to Nemesis on that one.
Yeah.
It had Raccoon City. You saw Raccoon City. It was great.
Yeah. And then they all went downhill from there, in my opinion.
Yeah, Resident Evil Extinction was pretty terrible. It was the one movie I did not buy, and I tried to find it. And that's the thing about Resident Evil Extinction. I couldn't find it anywhere.
I have it. Do you want it?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying I
think I actually have it now. I think I picked it up. So we're getting off course here. Number 4 and 5 are okay. And this Resident Evil, the final chapter, would be great if you've never seen a Resident Evil movie before.
Right, because this movie kind of retcons every other Resident Evil film.
It's really retcon evil. He said that afterwards. Yeah. It really is retcon evil. And we'll kind of tell you why. At the beginning of each movie, they have this introduction. Imagine Star Wars, the slow crawl, if it was actually bits and pieces of the movie of before. So it starts. The movie starts off with da 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 da. This is what happened, and then at the end, the iconic words, "My name is my name is Alice."
Yeah,
I almost said Jill. I wish Jill Valentine...
she should have been the lead.
Jill Valentine should have been the lead.
Not Alice, who doesn't exist in any of the Resident Evil games.
Well, and, I never really played a lot of the Resident Evil games, so I'm not one of those guys, well, it's not like the video game, or the book or anything. I'm fine with that. But the thing of it is, I really don't like when you spend time and money to watch these movies... And at the final chapter, it goes back and rewrites the entire series.
Yeah.
So what happens is, guys, I'm going to tell you the basic plot of this movie. One, if you remember from the when we talked a little bit about the movies before, Resident Evil. What was the fifth one? Well, anyway, the fifth Resident Evil movie. Rewind and you'll see all the names and whatnot. Resident Evil, the fifth Resident Evil 5. Okay,
just call it that because
we'll call it Resident Evil 5.
It's that good. We can't remember the title.
I kind of liked it. Anyway, Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 ended with them at the White House.
Mhm.
I believe Wesker tricked Alice into going and stole her powers or something like that.
Yeah.
Which you can steal powers apparently by using the T-virus. I can't remember what
The
happened.
T-virus has very many uses in these films.
Right. So it can do anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got a hangnail? T-virus.
Yeah. It's kind of like the black goo in Prometheus. It just kind of does whatever it wants to do.
Black goo. Resident Evil Black Goo. That's the next one. Because there is a next one.
Probably.
Oh, come on. We're getting too far. Okay, so at the end of Resident Evil 5, they're at the White House. They're going to be overswarmed by all of these manners of beasties and zombies and lickers and the flying guys. I can't remember what they are. They look
from Resident Evil 5 the game.
Yeah, they look like the flying the flying bugs from Starship Troopers.
They kind of do, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Bit.
So that's at the end of the movie. And then at the beginning of this movie, Alice, you get this grandiose shot of the White House, and it's after everything happens. You miss all of the good stuff. We're gonna not say curse words, so I'm saying stuff.
Yeah, when you do see the opening shot in the White House, and all of Washington D.C. is decimated, I can see people going online and putting "This is Trump's America." During that actually popped into my head.
Definitely.
When that came up.
Yeah, hashtag Trump.
That's like exactly what I thought when I saw it. I'm like, somebody's going to take that image and they're going to paste Trump's America on the scene.
I thought they were going to actually try and make a political message out of this. They didn't, though.
Well, they go.
Here's the cat, by the way. Hi, cat.
They go a different direction later on with religious undertones.
We'll get to that later. Okay, so you see Alice... for some reason, apparently the White House has an underground bunker because that's where Alice comes from. And so Alice emerges from whatever battles happened because we don't know what happened.
You don't get to see it.
You don't get to see what happened.
It was the ending to the last one, and you barely saw it then, and you don't see any of it in this one.
And I can kind of see why, because
you have no idea what to do.
None of the actors except for Ali Larter came back for the sixth one. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Other than Wesker, the guy who plays Wesker, which I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. So I can kind of see why they didn't have that battle scene just because of that. Maybe that's an excuse. Maybe I'm making an excuse for Paul Anderson.
It's just bad writing is what it is. That's what this whole movie
We're going to have
assassins
at the door be like, Paul Anderson sent me.
Yeah, right, because this whole movie was poorly written.
Sorry, Paul W.S. Anderson. Because there's two of them.
I don't think if we insulted anybody named Paul Anderson that directs films, we're sorry.
Except for Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
You deserve this. Anyway, so she comes forth to the White House. She gets a message from the Red Queen, who is still alive.
Well, she's artificial, but whatever.
Yeah, she's the AI. If you don't remember, she's the AI from number 1.
I think she makes an appearance in one of the later ones too.
Dude, does she?
I think so because I remember there being.
In number 5.
Yeah, she comes back in number 5.
Yeah, because she was controlling that base too, or something like that.
Right.
Okay, so you see her. She gives Alice this message that in 48 hours, all of humanity is going to wiped out because all the last bastions are being converged on by all the big bad baddies. That a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, they don't explain it other than you need to do this in 48 hours or all of humanity will be wiped out.
Right. So already Paul W.S. Anderson, is setting up the time clock, the ticking clock, if you will. It's the little device that says it puts a timer on it so that the character has to get from point A to point B, and it gives it kind of a bookends to the entire film. And that's okay. A lot of people do it. That's great. Because we know where we stand. We know, when it's the 20-hour mark, then crap is getting real. We can say crap.
Yeah.
I almost said the other word.
Okay, that's fine.
It's so weird. This film is so heated. I feel so passionate about this film. I just want to drop some bombs, but I can't.
Right. Yeah, I know. I actually vented a lot in the car.
We all did. Yeah. We had a friend, Ben, that went along with us, and we get the message, 48 hours, humanity is going to be gone. So Alice has to go back to the hive because there's apparently a cure-all in the form of the anti-venom or antivirus.
It's an antivirus.
An antivirus.
Which is
Isn't
in
it
Raccoon
always-
City, in the hive, where the started from.
You just said
sorry.
a swear word!
Sorry.
Restate that, and I'll chop that out.
It's back in Raccoon City, where the whole series started. So apparently everything that transpired after that could have been prevented. It was in that place the whole time, and nobody knew about it.
If you noticed the cut just then, he dropped the F-bomb, so we had to delete that out. Anyway, so yeah, she makes her way down there, and she gets captured a few times. One by Ian Glenn's character. Ian Glenn's the Ser Jorah Mormont from Game of Thrones. He's also what's his name in the Isaac.
Yeah,
Dr. Isaacs.
Dr. Isaacs.
You've seen him in number 2 and number 3 and 4. I think he died in number 4. But don't worry. That one was just a clone.
Yeah.
It could also be Retcon Evil, The Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars. Yeah,
That's what we're calling it, Paul W.S. Anderson. Retcon Evil, The Clone Wars. So there you go. You can thank us later when you retitle the film, when you make it into movie, like they did with... Edge of Tomorrow, I think that was the movie.
Oh yeah, they changed it.
They retitle it.
Yeah, or Ghostbusters. Now it's because it's Ghostbusters Answer the Call.
Right. So Paul W.S. Anderson, Retcon Evil, The Clone Wars. Trademark, copyright. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, she gets captured a couple times, and one's Dr. Isaacs. And Dr. Isaac has a horde of zombies trailing him because he has 2 of these kind of like tanks, sort of.
Yeah, Tanks is the only assessment I could give it.
Armored personnel carriers, something like that.
Maybe, but they have treads.
Yeah, they got treads. And this is where it takes on a tone, and I kind of fell out of the narrative a little bit. Because of it, did you feel a little bit?
Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's like this religious tone that comes from nowhere.
It really takes on a pretty heavy religious tone, where Dr. Isaacs, she gets captured. She wakes up, and out of nowhere, Alice and Isaac's talking back and forth, and he starts chanting, "What do we do with unbelievers?" Is it unbelievers?
Yeah, what do we do with unbelievers?
Unbelievers. And they start like thumping their chests back and forth.
But these people are all shackled. So if
they're
they
all
were
shackled.
True believers, why are they shackled? But whatever, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. So they, what do you do with unbelievers? You strap them to the back and you drag them. That's what you do with unbelievers.
Yeah, but you're not going fast enough to drag them because they can still run.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Which, it makes sense. I'll give you some credit, Anderson. It makes sense because it makes the zombies follow them more. And it's a little bit... They use it as a torture device because they're trying to figure out where she knew... Who told her to go to Raccoon City to find the antivirus.
Yeah.
But it backlashes on them because she manages to escape, and she has a battle with Isaacs. And it reminds me a lot of Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, where he's on the tank.
Yeah, which is another movie that, if you're going to pay homage to an Indiana Jones film, why, okay.
Yeah, good for you. And then it ends up with Isaac's getting his hand chopped off.
And one of the greatest, like, scream scenes of any film.
I laughed so many times that I shouldn't have laughed in. Because the part where he gets his hand lopped off, he goes, "Ah!"
It is the greatest scream scene I've seen in a while.
I wanted them to do the Kaiser Wilhelm scream.
That would have been
when
great.
they lopped off the hand. Again, when you redo this video, this movie, you should definitely do that. My cat's going to come back again, and he'll, get in the way. Anyway, so after that, she makes her way to Raccoon City because she gets a motorbike. Oh, conveniently, she gets a motorbike because she uses the lopped off hand to activate the bike, because you have to use like a thumbprint.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool too. I did like that one.
Of course, it's not. She can't have access to it, so it electrocutes her and she gets knocked out. That's how Isaac gets a hold of her.
Yeah, we failed to mention that part.
Yeah.
So
she actually kills like 6 guys while she's hanging upside down, and then the motorbike takes her out.
We had to cut that too because he dropped another F-bomb. We're going to put like a little ticker on the bottom every time we have to cut because Jeff just says the F-bomb.
Because this movie is just bad. Like, I got so mad at it. Like, even though I knew it was going to be bad, it still made me mad.
So we get to the part, and did you realize that every time she falls unconscious, hours go by?
Right.
Like,
and
I'm glad they did because then it wouldn't have lasted as long.
Right, and she gets knocked out like twice in this movie?
And she has one of those, like, the Red Queen talks to her.
3 times if you count the end. But she gets knocked out at least twice.
My cat is over here. Anywho.
Which is more than you see in other movies.
She makes it to Raccoon City, and she finds a whole bunch of survivors, where she happens to meet Allie Larder's character. And if I'm not mistaken, Allie Larder was in the 5th one. And I think...
At Washington, D.C.
Was she in Washington? I'm not sure if she was in Washington.
Know. Maybe she was.
Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't.
I don't remember that movie that well.
If we critique on that one and we're wrong, you can call me Anderson and we can talk about it personally over some coffee. I would love that. That'd be kind of cool. We can get you and Thunder Levin together and we can compare which is better, the Resident Evil series or the Sharknado series.
There you go. I don't know, it's pretty close at this point.
Resident Evil Sharknado Edition.
Should do a Sharknado.
Zombie-nado. Zombie
The
Sharknado.
There you go.
Undead NATO.
You're welcome, Sci-Fi.
They probably have done something like that.
They're going to.
They probably are. Okay, so we meet some survivors. It's this tower that survived the nuclear blast from Raccoon City in number 2. And they destroy Raccoon City.
Which I don't know if it's the same tower from Apocalypse, but it looks like it. And if it is, that's really bad because that's exactly where the nuke dropped.
In the air, by the way. It blasted in the air.
Yeah. That thing should not be standing.
Which, by the way, there's a big crater they call the Pit, another biblical reference.
Yeah.
Which leads to the Hive. Here's a question. Would a nuclear warhead
detonated in the sky
leave a crater that size?
I really don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think it would.
I don't know either. The cat's trying to get in the way. We'll edit that part out too. Anywho,
we might need to do something with the cat.
I think we have to get. Anyway, Isaac's one-handed Isaac. That's a good distinguisher for later on.
Isaac, yeah.
Yeah. So one-handed Isaac and his 2 mobile APCs or whatever they are, with 2 hordes of zombies behind him, which is kind of a cool mechanic. I'll give you that, Anderson. They assault the tower, and for whatever reason, they send a lone survivor from the APCs towards the tower
to not only lure the zombies to attack the tower, but for whatever reason, they know that Alice is going to try and save her.
Yeah, they know that Alice is going to try and lower the fence, the gate, and try and save that survivor. And hold on,
he's just right there, like the whole time, isn't he?
He is, because we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so they lower the gate to try and save the survivor, but in a grandiose way. Isaacs manages to fire a Gatling gun, precision, and kill the lady before she gets in. Did you notice that? It's a Gatling gun.
Right.
How are you supposed to precision shoot that thing?
Especially before when Alice is on a motorcycle and they can't hit anything.
Oh man! Rockets are launched, guns are firing.
With 2 Gatling guns firing and a rocket launcher firing, and
the
they
rocket
can't take her down.
Doesn't the rocket pass right by her head?
The guy has a lock. Fires and it goes right past her head.
Right
and
past
hits the
the
car
head.
in front of her.
Right
where
past
she
the
drives
head.
through in a blaze of
in
fiery
slow
glory.
motion, no doubt.
Yeah, there was a lot of jumping, driving, and running through fire in this movie. and they remained unscathed.
Okay, so the tower, they defend against the tower, against the zombies. Ultimately, they get overrun. Right. That's the basics of that one.
And the one thing that I noticed in that scene is after the zombies fail, Isaac's is like, shoot the roof. But it's not until after the zombies fail. Like, right. Instead of having the zombies attack the base and you shoot the roof, wait till the zombies fail, then shoot the roof.
You know, I can kind of see that, though, because the zombies are making them climb up to the roof.
Yeah, but they're already staged at the roof at the beginning of the fight.
Well, but you don't see that. Isaac doesn't know that.
But if you're going to be anywhere where zombies are coming, you'd be at the roof.
Well, that's true. But if zombies are in the tower, then more people would be up top. Anyway.
Which you would shoot the roof.
Anyway. So, yeah, so they escape that place, and they decide to go to the pit because it's like 12 hours left or something like that. Yeah. And a whole people.
Actually, it's like 36 minutes.
No, 36 minutes is when they enter into the tower.
Is it?
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Because I remember, that must be the rest of the movie's runtime, is what they were saying.
Maybe it actually might have been. I'm not going to go and pay another $6 to go see it again.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Anderson, if you'd like to send me a check for $6, I would more than happy to go and see it again. You. Yeah, if you want to send a check for $12, make it out to cash.
There you go.
We'll both go and see it again and critique it. Maybe we got it wrong. I don't know.
I don't think so. But okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If you want to come and watch it with us, bring Mia Jovovich and her daughter, who was in the movie too. Yeah. We'll get to that later. So they get into the hive ultimately. They get into the hive. It's wide open. It's ultimately a trap. And so then it happens. It's like a fun house, that hive. The hive is like a fun house because there's tricks and traps everywhere.
Which makes no sense for what it is, but...
Right. They're in the ventilation shaft, and there's a long drop tube.
Like this guy falls through... Luke Skywalker style from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, except he doesn't have any beam to catch him.
No, he falls onto this door where this little mechanism is sitting there, and these 4 lights that are green start ticking down red.
Why would you need ticking lights?
And when they are all red, the door falls out, and this guy falls into a hole, but he grabs onto the door before it happens.
Yeah, he grabs onto the edge of the door.
The lights start ticking green
and you know what's going to happen.
As the door then slowly lifts up. Guy gives no effort to try and climb in.
Well,
which he probably couldn't have.
He fell. He had all the wind knocked out of him.
Okay, whatever. He chops his fingers off.
I don't know why I'm defending Anderson
and then falls to his death in the pit.
Well, you don't see him die. It's kind of like Mace Windu. You don't see him die.
No, you don't see him die, but I'm pretty sure he's dead.
He's probably dead. And maybe the next Resident Evil, they have the guy survive. We'll know for sure.
Why would you have a big, giant pit just kind of sitting under your vents?
Why would you have another Resident Evil movie?
But either way.
Anyhow, so they get to the end. They get to the iconic scene in Resident Evil, the first one, where the hallway with the laser grid, which was really cool in the first one, and I think that was the shining moment of this movie. Was the nostalgic factor.
It kind of tried to do what like Jurassic World or The
to
Force
a lesser
Awakens
degree
tried to do with a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, I really like I think that's the best part of the movie, the flashbacks to the first one.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
It was like, that's cool.
I kind of would rather watch that again.
Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, so they ultimately make it down to the main hatch. We can't miss that. The fight between Isaac and it turns out one-handed Isaac is not the true Isaac, the one and true Isaac.
No,
he's a clone.
He's a clone of another Isaac. That's the true Isaac.
Isaac Prime.
Isaac Prime. Isaac Prime.
So now this is where you might not want spoilers, but it turns out the Umbrella Corporation, in an attempt to recreate the flood in the Bible.
Yeah, because they up and decided that because the Earth is going to end either through climate change, nuclear war, some kind of apocalyptic
overpopulation,
disease, that they decide they're just going to end the world on their terms and not just wait for it to end on their own.
And they do it by a board vote.
Right.
Not kidding.
Yeah. With the Bible sitting in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And Isaac basically compares himself to God, saying it was done once before, we can do it again.
Right.
But better. Like, I think he says, like, we could do it better than what God did with the flood.
We forgot to mention before, this is where the title Retcon Evil comes into play. Because in the second Resident Evil movie, the creator of the T-Virus is a crippled man who made the virus in order to cure his daughter, who was also crippled.
Yeah.
And that's who he designed the Red Queen from.
Right. And this movie gives the Red Queen and the origin of the T-Virus completely new stories.
Completely new stories. It is now the same thing. A scientist wanted to save his daughter because the daughter has an opposite Benjamin Button.
It's a disease. It's like Jack.
Yeah, it's like Jack.
Resident Evil Jack. Where
Resident Evil Jack.
She ages extremely fast.
Yeah, she's like 25 by the time she's like 5 or something like that. It was the founder of Umbrella Corporation. Yes.
Created this virus in order to counteract the fast aging within his daughter.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I might say that the daughter is played by Ever Anderson, which is the
Paul Anderson and Mila Jovovich's daughter.
Which, for the reveal, I really like the fact that they use her because
it makes sense later.
The reveal, because it became so apparent. They do a flashback, or the Red Queen comes and tells the story of why the Red Queen is betraying Umbrella Corporation to Alice.
It's the board scene we discussed where he's
talking about
the Bible flood and
right. The other person that talks opposite Isaac Prime is this old woman, but you don't see her face. You can tell by the voice though that it's Mila Jovovich.
It's Mila Jovovich, yeah.
It's Mila Jovovich. And that is supposed to be the M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end.
Right, which apparently she posted a picture of herself as an old person on Instagram before this movie came out. Which, if that's true...
It is, I saw it. I'm not sure if it was Instagram, but it's some kind of social media out there. Which I thought, why is she old? What's that going to be? And it really kind of just ruined that whole... Well, her voice is kind of... If you watch any of the Resident Evil movies like we have, you come to recognize that voice. You kind of know that voice.
Well, because she does the narration at the beginning of all of them.
She does the narration, yeah.
So if you can't tell it by that point...
Yeah. So anyway, so we know that Alice is not actually Alice Prime.
No, she's not. She's a clone.
She's secondary Alice. We'll call her Alice 2.
Alice 2.
Alice 2. The older version is Alice Prime. Alicia is her real name. Side point, the founder of the corporation that made the virus was killed by Wesker and Isaac in an attempt to overthrow him because he didn't like where they were going with the virus.
Yeah. And it should be mentioned that Alicia? Alicia is his daughter.
Yeah.
So Alice is a clone of the founder of Umbrella's daughter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so...
Which makes the first one make even less sense.
Well, not the first one, but the second one. Because the second one where all of the explanation of where the virus came from.
Well, that's true. It retcons the second one.
Yeah, it retcons the second one, totally.
Because the whole explanation for the virus is different.
Which, really, like I said before, if you've never seen any of the Resident Evil movies, I think you're okay.
Right. So, just watch 6.
Yeah.
And you might enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But...
If you've watched any of them, it's a solid 1. If you've never watched any of them, 6 or 7.
4. I would say 4.
Okay, so what happens is, where was I? Okay, they get to the scene, and there's this one particular scene. Apparently, Dr. Isaac's Prime is the Terminator.
For whatever reason.
There's a scene where Alice is thinking over her options of trying to assault Isaacs. And what happens is she comes upon 3 scenarios. She can either try and kill him with the ice pick, kill him with the fountain pen, or kill him with the glass decanter. Mm-hmm. And she goes all Sherlock Holmes. If you've ever seen the movie with Robert Downey Journey, Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes, you know that he kind of like works out, where to hit him and everything, and they do their time. And that's exactly what she does with every single scenario.
Yeah, it goes through slow motion and how that she would do it, and then when it's revealed that he's actually like a cyborg or some kind of hybrid of some sort, he does the exact same thing in showing how to counteract everything she was planning on doing.
But not only does he do that, he does, like, at the end, like a boss. Like, he takes a sip of his... He goes...
And it says, like, 100% probability of termination or something like that.
That's another part where I laughed at, because it was just so over the top. It was so cheesy.
He has this smirk as he's drinking his scotch.
Yeah.
It's
it's so cheesy.
It's like, I could kill you at any moment. There's nothing you can do.
That's pretty much what it was. And so then it turns out that the Wesker's there, Isaac Prime is there.
Wesker's holding Clarice hostage.
Not Clarice.
Or not
Claire.
Clarice. Claire, sorry.
It's not
where
Silence of the
Clarice
Lambs.
came from. Yeah.
Hello, Claire.
Hello, Claire.
Anyway, so it turns out the guy that survives with Alice and Claire is the Judas of the group, if you will, since we're going with the biblical reference.
Yeah, they make reference to somebody that is giving away the position of the survivors in Raccoon City. And it turns out it's this doctor that revived Alice after she got unconscious for the second time.
Which, I don't know why they have an insider in the group, because they
kind of knew where they were at the whole movie.
They have satellites, they have drones, and they pose no threat to the Umbrella Corporation. They pose no threat.
Not until Alice shows up.
Not until Alice shows up.
And Alice is the only one that is any kind of a threat, because everybody else in this film dies.
And how would they know to keep an insider in there just in case Alice shows up?
Yeah. Well, except for
Claire?
Claire doesn't die, but
yeah, I don't know why Claire doesn't. Anyway, because
they nerfed Wesker.
Wesker, man, I gotta say, Anderson, I don't know who did your casting. I really like the fact that you made Ever Anderson young Alicia. For one, she looks a lot like Mrs. Jovovich.
Yeah.
Almost to a T, like it's uncanny. Like, I don't know.
So it makes sense.
It makes sense.
It fits with what you're doing.
Maybe if you got Mrs. Mila's grandmother to play the old. I didn't like the makeup that they used for older Jovovich.
Well, it didn't bother me because at that point I just didn't care anymore. So it just didn't faze me.
So, and then they make, it's an obvious reference, maybe to the Holy Trinity, because at that point, there's 3 versions of Alice. There's
3 versions, yeah.
One is a computer AI, which is kind of like the Holy Spirit.
Because she's omnipresent.
She's
which
omnipresent.
Is what the Holy Spirit's like.
She knows all. She's everywhere.
Yeah.
Then you have
the older version, the original Alice,
right,
which is kind of like the father,
right, because she's the progenitor.
Because she's the progenitor, yeah.
And then you have regular Alice, who is clearly the Christ character in this.
Right, because the scene leading up to this, in order to get to this area where these people are frozen and stuff, there's a pathway that goes through this patch of water. So when she's walking, it literally looks like she's walking on water.
Yeah. And afterwards, so she gets the virus. That's pretty much clear. She gets the virus. Alice blows, the older Alice, Alice Prime, blows up. Well, it's Wesker that blows up. Wesker. Oh, by the way, the casting. I really liked the casting of Wesker in this entire franchise. Whoever you got to play Wesker was on point.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but he was a good Wesker.
As the millennials say, Wesker was on point. I'm a millennial too. I hate that. Anyway,
he dies in the most ridiculous fashion in this movie because
he had so many superpowers.
In the last movie, he was like out of the Matrix or from the video game.
He was heel to toe in all leather.
Yeah, and he was super fast, super strong, super quick. The old one. The old Alice Prime says fires Wesker, which then gives the Red Queen the ability to murder him because he's no longer an Umbrella employee.
Yeah, the Red Queen has two directives: not to do any harm to any Umbrella employee, and not to do any harm to humans
in general. She had a third one, but it's nerfed because the virus has already escaped.
Right. So here's what happens. They get into this dialogue about how the board members and all this, and Alice Prime says, well, I still have 50% of the company holdings, which, it's the apocalypse, lady. Nobody cares about your shares.
They both say it. That's like, well, we both own 50% of the shares of the company. Like, 98% of the human population is dead. So that means bubkiss at this point.
Right. But I see why you did it, Anderson, because you're using it as a way of saying, well, I'm the authoritative figure. I can fire whoever I want.
Yeah.
And she fires Wesker, and he gets taken out by a door.
Door comes down, breaks both of his legs off.
I'm not sure if they broke the legs or if it just crippled him.
Well, I know his legs come off because he's got stumps.
Oh, does he have stumps? I didn't even see the stumps.
Yeah, because there's a ton of blood. And,
I think I was laughing too much.
Yeah, because I was like, really? That's how you're going to take out Wesker? Wesker! That's how you're going to take out Wesker!
Wesker!
Is by a door. Yeah, so that was a little weird.
A bleeping door!
Yeah, a door.
Can't say the word!
A door kills Wesker, who is the most impossible character to defeat in this game.
Technically, the door doesn't kill Wesker. The hand grenade that Alice gives... Or the detonator, sorry.
The detonator,
because you don't see them planting the charges.
But apparently they planted charges around the thousands of people that are cryogenically frozen down here.
Yeah.
That are apparently the elite of Umbrella Corps.
And probably friends and family. I would assume family at least. I don't know about friends.
I cannot fathom, because there's 12 people in this board meeting. How could you have like thousands of people frozen waiting for after the apocalypse happens?
Well, you probably want doctors, you probably want nurses, you probably want...
which they probably had on staff.
Well, but they killed them all in the first one.
Just the ones in the hive. That's not the whole Umbrella Corp.
To go along with the biblical... Overtones, analogy, the hive serves as the ark.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean...
To survive the undead flood.
To survive the undead flood.
So, anyway, pretty much, Alice, Clone Alice says, as long as you're alive, Umbrella survives, hands him the detonator. So pretty much as soon as he's dead, boom, pop goes the weasel.
The hive will be destroyed. Umbrella pretty much will be destroyed.
Yeah. So they both, Isaac Prime makes it out. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot this. In the epic climactic fight between Alice and Isaac Prime, Alice pulls a page out of Fallout and pickpockets a grenade into his pocket. Yeah. Into his jacket pocket, right here. Blows his side out.
Which is the weakest grenade ever.
Right. It would have taken out... Yeah, I don't know what kind of grenade...
I don't even know, because it only blows out like a chunk of his side.
Right, that's all it does.
And because he has the virus, the antivirus, on him through this whole fight. So,
but it was shielded. They do this nifty little...
It was shielded, but I don't think it would have survived a grenade blast. So I think that's the only reason why that grenade didn't go off as big as it did.
Well, and plus Alice was near. I mean, you gotta save Alice.
Right.
He's still alive. He's all T2 because he can, see through walls now because he's upgraded. It's weird.
Yeah, because he falls down at the end of the fight.
Yeah.
She takes the antivirus to go up to the surface because apparently once this is released, it's airborne. Anything that has the T virus in it will die.
Right.
Anything.
And it's made... They don't say... But they kind of insinuate that Alice dies too, because if you don't remember...
Actually, they do say. There's some people that say, when this happens, you will die.
Alice Prime says, what will happen.
Yeah. Well, I think Claire at some point
she's
says
infected
that too.
with the T virus, I think, in the second one.
I think that's where it started.
Something along those lines.
I think the second one.
Yeah, the second one.
I think it's at the very end of the first one. And the second one's where you kind of understand that she was infected.
Yeah.
Because she gets bitten by the giant licker at the end of the
that's what she gets... No, because it's Matt that gets clawed that turns into the Nemesis.
He gets turned into the Nemesis.
I might have to watch Apocalypse later. That was a good one.
Yeah, I have the first two. Well, the first three, but I don't watch the third one anymore.
So she gets to the outside and she takes her sweet time. Her sweet time dropping that vial.
And she goes outside, and instead of just crushing it,
Or
throwing it on
chucking
the floor, or just chucking it so it just shatters, she just stands there for a minute. During this time, we see Isaacs go through a rebooting process, which literally it shows like through his view saying rebooting systems.
Yeah, system rebooting. And the other Isaac, by the way, Isaac squared. One-handed Isaac.
Yeah, one-handed Isaac.
He is leading the zombie horde towards the hive entrance all throughout the third act. I mean, you just see him. And so what happens is she kind of gets sandwiched between the two Isaacs because she drops the vial, and out of like a nowhere thing, Isaac Prime catches it.
Yeah, he's just there.
Catches it. And he kind of mocks her for a while, and then one-handed Isaac comes, and he's kind of fanatical. He is now full-blown fanatical.
He's full-blown religious fanatical for whatever reason.
And he finds out that he's a clone. And
I want to mention here that it was mentioned earlier that
yeah.
I think Isaac said it himself.
Isaac Prime, yeah.
Yeah, that if the clone
No,
realized
I'm sorry.
it was a
one-handed
clone,
Isaac says that.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Whichever one. I don't really remember. Don't really care. But all I know is it was one of them said that if they found out that they were a clone, they wouldn't be able to handle it and would go crazy.
Which you would have thought that would have been Alice, because Alice found out she was a clone and
she's fine with it.
She was fine with it.
She's like, I'm not a clone, and that's basically all she does. And then she's just like, well, I still got to save the world.
Right.
What little left there is of the world, but
right. So one-handed Isaac takes out Isaac Prime.
Because
how does one-handed Isaac die? Oh, he gets killed by zombies. He gets killed
by the zombie horde that was following him for like a half hour.
Right.
He goes crazy because he's like, no, I'm the real Isaac.
Prison shanks him, too.
With a knife, yeah. Which earlier they made sure that you read on it that vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Oh, man.
Like they hold on it for a minute.
They do. It's like, that's another...
Well, hold on it with shaky cam.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So she gets the vial, she crushes the vial, she faints, all the zombies start dying off.
Immediately.
So the Christ character dies, saving humanity.
From the sin which is the T-virus. 2 seconds later, she's awake.
Yeah, she goes through another one of these dream sequences things. She's awake again. It apparently kills off the T-virus inside of her, so she's no longer infected.
And she's fine.
She's okie dokie.
And apparently all these people that apparently were going to die by the hands of the zombies while she was doing this whole thing were saved by the Red Queen.
Yeah, the Red Queen's still alive too, by the way, which I don't know if she's in a satellite or I don't know what's happening here.
Because it was established in the first movie that she was in the hive.
Yeah, but apparently she was... Well, she could have been... She was in the underwater base, too, in the fifth one.
Maybe she just teleported
Maybe she's in a satellite. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So, basically, what happens next is the thing that gets an automatic 1, in my opinion. Alice is riding into Manhattan with a narrative about how the winds, okay, sure, the winds are carrying the virus to all the ends of the earth.
It'll take years for it to spread to all the ends of the earth.
And she's got a job to do.
So her work is not done.
And her name is Alice. And she drives into Manhattan.
And I said, screw this movie. I used much more colorful language, though.
Yeah, you called it. I
did before we went
Rewind to that section. And you have seen that he said automatic 1 if they do something like that.
Yeah, if they totally set up another sequel, this movie goes from 2 to 1. I can't give it 0 because it's on a scale of 1 to 10. If you said 0 to 10, this would be a 0.
So it's the equivalent of a 0.
Yeah, sure, I'll see. Okay, 0.
Okay, so that's the whole movie. We're going to talk a little bit about what we didn't really like. I'll go first.
Besides almost everything.
Let's do this. We'll do a good, bad, the ugly.
Okay.
So we'll do what we liked first about it. I thought the good was...
Some of the casting?
Casting was good. Ali Larter, I think, was a little underutilized. But all of the cast was underutilized, except for Alice, Wesker, and Isaacs. I thought that the group in the tower was just put in there. I didn't think they actually needed that group at all, because they all died. And you didn't care about them. Yeah, you didn't care about them dying. Ali Larter and the Judas of the group had this intimate relationship that you only saw once or twice.
You know, and I didn't even realize, like, the first time they mentioned that they were intimate.
Yeah.
Because there's no chemistry at all. There's no...
Yeah, there's no... Yeah.
They don't do anything together.
Ali Larter's a really good actress. I thought she was underutilized. Ever Anderson was great. I think she was one of the stars of that movie that really popped. And this is her first role, too. Kudos to Ever Anderson. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right, Ever, because that's how it's spelled, Ever Anderson.
Yeah.
She was really great, and I think she's going to be a really impressive actress later on.
Hopefully, as long as she can get away from her father.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Because she's shown it. She was really shining in this one.
Right, but you know, when you've got one bright spot in a sea of darkness.
And I still like Mila Jovovich. She was a good actress in it. I mean, she was pretty on par with all the other Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate her acting or her personally. I don't think she's the greatest actress by any stretch of the imagination.
I liked her in The Fourth Kind. I really liked her in The Fourth Kind.
I liked her in The Fifth Element.
Because she didn't talk.
Part of that was because she didn't talk a whole lot, but...
So the casting was good. Wesker was great as Wesker until the end.
But they do to him what they do with Megatron in the Transformers movies.
Him. They nerf him hard.
They make him extremely weak as a villain.
They do.
And
they really do.
It's just... Especially because the last one where he's like, you know, a god, kind of.
Yeah.
And this one, he does nothing.
Okay. So, I know you got to get home, so we'll do the bad. We'll do the bad, and then we'll do the ugly. What did you think the bad was?
Besides the overall story and a bunch of unnecessary things, the film editing in this movie is ridiculous.
I would put that as the ugly.
I'd put it as the bad, because every fight scene, you have no idea what's happening.
If you are prone to seizures, do not see this movie.
There is a scene where Alice fights a giant licker. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Calling it
goo monster from the fifth one, kind of.
Or even, it kind of reminded me of the mold monsters in the new one.
Yeah.
But she fights it, and like every second, they do a cut, and it goes from dark to a white light. And it's like for blasts. A few minutes.
You don't... I mean, it's shot, cut, shot, cut, shot, cut.
You have no idea what's happening.
It's really disturbing. And when she's twirling around in that scene where she's hung up upside down, it's literally shot, 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 shot.
Yeah.
It's cut, 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 cut. If we watched this in 3D, I'd be nauseous.
Yeah, I would not watch this in 3D because I don't know what
I kind of had a headache about midway through.
Yeah, actually I did too. And I don't know what the 3D would do with that.
Oh, man. I could only imagine.
They have a lot of action scenes, and they are all like that.
There are a lot of action scenes, and you know, I did not like Jason Bourne because of the fighting was so close up.
Yeah.
I like to see the whole scene when they're fighting, like Daredevil in the hallway. Remember that? It's one shot, by the way.
Shot, yeah.
One shot, and you see the whole hall. I mean, that's great. In this one, it was so close up.
Yeah, and it was all of them. It wasn't like just one.
The
last Captain America, Civil War, the very first fight, they kind of do that a little bit.
Yeah, they do that a little bit.
It gets up close. There's a lot of cuts.
It's a lot of hand-to-hand stuff.
Yeah. Take that to the extreme and make it every single action scene in this movie.
Yeah, every punch, cut it, edit it. Every shot, cut it, edit it.
Yeah, it's like they didn't stay on the fight for long enough.
I'm getting nauseous just talking about it again.
Right.
It's in my head.
To even understand what was going on in the fight scenes.
And when you mix a large soda pop with buttery, sugary popcorn, not sugary, salty, it could probably get a little nauseous for kids. Kids should not see this movie, by the way.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I guess. I mean, it's rated R. You don't see any nudity.
There's no nudity. I don't even
there's
remember
not a lot of swear words. Yeah,
I don't remember a lot of cursing.
It's just the action and gore.
There's really not a lot of gore either, because everything's dark.
Well, the part where the lady gets
there's some like decapitations.
There's decapitations.
Limbs get chopped off,
severed by a rotating fan. There's squishing from a door.
But it's not held for very long. Oh, speaking of the rotating fan.
Oh, the grenade.
Speaking of the rotating fan, Alice saves this character from the fan. 5 minutes later, she dies by the fan.
Not even 5 minutes. It's like a whole minute.
Well, that scene lasts.
It's like a whole
long,
minute.
But yeah, like. What was the point of that?
They they look at Alice's clock, and it's literally 6 minutes.
Is it really?
From beginning to the end of that scene, yeah. So okay, we covered that. Pretty much all the editing was in my opinion pretty bad.
That editor did a lot of work.
I will say that.
I don't know if that was his call or if it was Anderson's, but either way, that was a lot of effort.
Whoever did the editing, kudos to you, sir, because I don't have the patience.
No, I think I would have had a seizure trying to do the editing for this movie.
I would not have the patience. I would throw it up in the air and say, nope, goodbye.
I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm
Drop the mic. Just drop the mic. So the ugly, since Jeff already took the ugly, because that would have been my ugly.
That was what I thought was bad. That was the worst. Besides the writing and all that stuff, the editing was so distracting to me. That's why I had to put it as bad.
The ugly for me would have been the retcon. If you're taking the editing, because I would have put the retcon as bad, but my ugly would have been the retcon. The whole redoing all of it. I mean, that took me out of it, and that was like in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, because they introduced the film with the explanation of where the virus came from, which is totally different than, like we said, in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, I did not like it at all. It took me out of the film. I literally threw my hands up in the theater, and it went from a 5 to a 1 in that instant.
We've seen movies together over the years, and I think this is the first time that either one of us have actually had to put our hands, our head in our hands in the middle of the theater. I looked over, and he's just like this.
Yeah, it was,
I don't think I'd ever seen that before.
It was pretty horrible. I've only walked out of one film one time, and that was Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Yeah, okay. I never saw that in theaters. So.
I probably would have watched Wild Wild West over this one.
That one makes more sense than this one.
I didn't walk out mainly because I was with friends.
Yeah.
And I was going to do a review on it.
Yeah, it'd be bad if you're going to do a review video and midway through the movie you're like, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, how would you make this film better? What would be one way where you would say, hey, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to give... We're talking to you, Paul W.S. Anderson, not Wes Anderson.
Whoever that is.
Wes Anderson? Wes Anderson? You don't know Wes Anderson?
I know Wes Craven. I don't know Wes Anderson.
I was thinking Wes Craven when I said Wes Anderson. Okay, anyway. Okay, we're talking to you, Paul W.S. Anderson. What would you give advice to him on how to have made this film better? Or, okay, we'll just do that. How to make this film better in one piece of advice.
I would have made Wesker the villain.
Ooh.
To start. Because he's a bad guy, but he's just a hired goon in this film, and he doesn't do anything.
Take the clones out. We don't need all the Isaac's primes and all the...
Yeah, he was dead in the end of 5.
Leave it that way.
No, 4 or 5. He was dead at the end of one of those.
People didn't like Spider-Man the Clone Saga for a reason.
Right. Clones are... Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Worst one out of any of them.
Well, I think that's because the clones didn't attack until the ending.
Well, not only that, but clones just don't... The only clones that work in films that I've seen, Jurassic Park. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
And plus, I think that's why I didn't like Resident Evil Extinction so much, because there were clones of Alice.
There were clones.
And I think there was clones in the 4th one, too.
There were a few,
There
even
were a
though
few.
at either the end of the third one or the end of the fourth one, they get kind of released, and then you never see them again, other than like a couple.
Right! We need to watch the rest of the Resident Evils and do...
There's like a mass
reviews on
grave
them.
of them. I remember that in one,
Oh, yeah,
in
that's
one
true.
of them.
I think it was in the beginning of the fourth one.
Possibly.
We
I
should-
don't
we
really
should do
remember
that.
that movie.
Comment if you want us to review any of the other Resident Evil movies.
That
We
works.
can do that.
We can.
My opinion, the editing, like I said before, last on a shot for a little bit. Don't cut it so much.
Yeah, and I think the reason why the editing is the way it is because the action scenes without that editing are not very impressive.
See, I thought the twirling one would have been cool if it was one shot.
But then it would look ridiculous.
I think choreographed right, it would have been magnificent to see her twirling around, beating up guys from a little bit of a distance.
Yeah, but to me, it looks ridiculous.
I thought it would be cool because anyway.
The only action scene that I really liked is towards the beginning, where she fights the boss from Resident Evil 5, this giant bat leech thing that's in Resident Evil 5.
Which I didn't like so much.
I did just because I got to see him.
She jumped the Hummer into the guy's head. How did she jump the Hummer?
There's like a ramp.
Conveniently.
There was a ramp right there. She just lined him up.
So, what is one thing that... Because we all know it is not the final chapter.
I was hoping. I really was.
What would be one angle you'd like to see in the next one?
I have no idea at this point, to be honest. I don't want to see a next one.
This is again directed to you, Mr. Anderson. If you do decide to go with the next one, and I hope you seriously consider it.
Reboot it.
No, don't reboot it.
I would. If you have to do anything, do a reboot.
Think about it this way.
Just call it done.
Think about it this way. The antivirus evolves.
We did talk about this.
Because all viruses evolve, right? So, I mean, the antivirus would evolve and maybe mutate into the G virus.
Which is from the games, yeah. Because you had the T virus and the G virus.
Yeah.
So you could always do that.
You could do it maybe 10 years in the future when, reconstruction's happening and rebuilding's happening.
And then it just kind of takes over.
Yeah,
Or maybe Alice is the cause of it.
Was Ada Wong in the movies at all? I think she was, wasn't she?
She was in one of them.
Have her come back.
Just only one.
Anyway, any last thoughts, Jeff?
Don't watch this movie. Unless you're like diehard Resident Evil fan.
Would you buy this movie?
No, not even like dump in 1 cent price. I would not buy this movie.
I would buy this movie, not at the beginning price, not at the $12 price. I'd probably buy it for a $5 movie, only because I have all the other movies. I don't want to complete the set.
I had to stop at 3, because 3 is when it went downhill.
You should really watch 4 and 5.
I have seen them. I don't remember them.
We should review them again.
That's why I don't remember.
Okay, guys. This is going to be it for our review of Resident Evil, the final chapter.
Probably not the final chapter, but that's what they're calling it.
If you caught this in the middle and you forgot our spoiler warnings, sorry. You didn't miss much. Like the video if you liked it, disliked it if you didn't. Comment and subscribe. Click the notification bell for whenever we get a new video up. We have them pretty recently. Comment if you want us to review a certain movie.
Yeah, we'll
do anything. Love Actually, even. That's a pretty good movie too. How long are guys? All right, guys. This has been 2 Guys in a Movie. Maybe that's the name for the channel for that particular playlist. 2 Guys in a Movie.
We probably could do that.
We could probably do that. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Peace.